My name is Laura. I recently found a kitten in my neighborhood, and it's so cute that this 35-year-old is utterly smitten. Why do these small things just melt your heart like that? There was this celebrity on TV who said they liked to sniff a cat's ears, and I used to be totally grossed out by it, but now I kind of get it. Well, enough about being enchanted by a cat. What I really want to talk about is how my ex-husband got completely captivated by another woman. So I hope you'll listen. 6 years ago, when my husband, Jacob, and I were entering our second year of marriage, I was just getting used to my role as a wife. Things were going smoothly, but around this time, Jacob started coming home later and later. There were various reasons for him coming home late. Sometimes it was simply overtime, helping a junior colleague with their mistakes, or client dinners. But Jacob's job never really had much overtime, and not many new employees came on board. Plus, those client dinners were more of a senior manager's job. So, in a workplace like that, there could only be two reasons he'd be working overtime every day. One, a disastrous new hire who makes colossal mistakes every day joined the team. Two, he's up to something he can't tell me. If not one, then two. Naturally, I was suspicious, but I had no concrete proof to back it up. Besides, a part of me didn't want to face reality. It's really heartbreaking to think of infidelity in the second year of marriage, and I can't help but blame myself for not measuring up somehow. As I was muddling through each day with these heavy thoughts, there was another issue that was weighing on my mind. His mother, Jessica.
Don't you have kids yet?
She used to be gentle and kind, but just before our second anniversary, she started pushing us to have children. She'd call regularly to say herbal medicine is good for fertility or that I should wear something red, and she kept forcing these health and spiritual practices on me. One day, she even showed up at our house and announced and left 10 red trinkets behind.
There's this amazing massage to balance your hormones.
Then she'd whisk me away to some shady massage place. The assumption that my hormones were out of balance was a bit much. We'd only been married for 2 years, and I'm still young enough not to worry about having kids in a rush. Honestly, I'd like to enjoy a bit more time with just Jacob first. I think it's fine to have kids later, but of course, I can't say any of that to Jessica. If I do, she'd switch to this annoying sentimental mode, like, am I going to pass away without ever meeting my grandkids? She looks like she's got at least 30 more healthy years ahead of her, though. So, I had to play the role of the daughter-in-law who wants kids. In reality, I do want kids in the long run. But my feelings weren't getting through to Jessica. Of course, I consulted Jacob about this.
Honey, well, if mom wants them, we better have kids soon.
He'd say that, but his actions weren't matching his words. When he comes home late, Jacob's routine is to head straight to the shower, eat, and then quickly fall asleep. It's like there's no opportunity to even think about having kids. From his behavior, I don't think Jacob really wants kids that much. However, Jacob had a tendency to completely obey Jessica and do whatever she said.
In the future, if we're all going to live together, we'd better have a house.
With that remark, he went and bought a house, even though his income wasn't enough to afford it.
Paying for a house is tough. You really should stick with an apartment.
That's what Jessica always said before. So when it came to kids, I'm sure it wasn't really about his own feelings, but rather just wanting to please Jessica. I could see that Jacob wouldn't help much even if I got pregnant, so I'd have to do everything on my own. It wasn't a welcoming environment for a baby. One day, as I tried to keep up with Jessica's pressure and navigate my relationship with Jacob, who seemed disconnected from it all, I smelled women's perfume on Jacob's shirt when he got back. "Something smells nice. What's going on?" I asked without accusing him directly, because I knew that scent alone wasn't proof.
Well, I had some issues with expense reports, and the clerk pointed it out, so maybe her scent rubbed off on me.
His face had clearly gone pale, but Jacob still replied calmly, as expected. He wasn't just checking his phone frequently, he was even taking it to the bathroom and the shower. Combined with the scent on his shirt, Jacob's behavior just kept getting more suspicious. I really want clarity. I'm scared to find out, but I need proof. Just as I was beginning to think that way, he beat me to the punch. "Who is this woman?" Jacob had come home early for once, and he wasn't alone. Looking uncomfortable, Jacob averted his eyes from mine while the woman next to him gave a confident smile.
Nice to meet you. I'm Rachel. I'm a junior at Jacob's company.
She introduced herself as Rachel, smiling brightly while linking her arm with Jacob's.
She's pregnant. I want a divorce.
What? I couldn't believe my ears when Jacob requested a divorce in such a quiet voice. Pregnant? Not only did he cheat, but he's having a kid with someone else while we don't even have children yet. What do you mean? Why divorce? We've only been married for 2 years. Is she really pregnant?
Yes, it's true. Rachel and I have been together for about 6 months, and she's pregnant with my child. My honey. I mean, my mom already knows too. She's happy that she's getting a grandchild. She told me I should leave you. I'm going to listen to her.
Wait, hold on. This doesn't make any sense.
I'll pay alimony. Name your price, but just divorce me.
Jacob quickly apologized, and the way he did it so easily broke my heart. He clearly wanted to separate from me that much. He'd suddenly brought another woman to confess his affair, and even worse, she was pregnant. My mind couldn't keep up, even at the moment when I was deciding the amount of alimony. I couldn't even muster anger, just confusion, and with that feeling, we got divorced. I probably should have yelled at him a little more before we parted ways. 2 years have passed since then. When I moved out of the house Jacob and I shared, I didn't have much in savings, so I returned to my parents' place and worked as a temporary dispatched worker. My coworkers were really kind, and my heart had finally softened with the peace of everyday life. But one day, while having lunch with my colleagues, I bumped into Jacob and Rachel at the restaurant.
Well, if it isn't Laura.
I wanted to ignore them, but Rachel, holding her baby, spoke up. Her voice drew attention, so I couldn't escape unnoticed.
Who are they?
My ex-husband, Jacob, and his wife, Rachel. When I answered, my coworkers, who had heard about the divorce from me, instantly recognized Rachel as the woman Jacob left me for and looked awkward.
Wait a minute, isn't that Rachel?
The moment my coworker, Sarah, said that, Rachel's expression stiffened.
Sarah, long time no see. What a coincidence.
Well, so Rachel's the reason Laura got divorced.
What are you talking about?
Oh, nothing.
Sarah gave a sweet smile, and Rachel stood there, clearly tense. My coworkers and I were all puzzled, staring at the two of them.
I'm going to the bathroom. Watch the baby for me.
Rachel handed the child to Jacob, quickly turned around, and walked toward the restroom. Sarah watched her leave, her eyes fixed on Rachel's back. Sarah, is there something about her that's bothering you? I couldn't help but ask.
Well, there's something off about her. Jacob might not want to hear this, but maybe he should get a DNA test for that kid.
What?
What? I ended up having the same reaction as Jacob. What could she mean by that?
I used to work in the same office as Rachel, where I was dispatched to then, and well, she messed around with married men so often that she kept getting fired from various jobs. She just can't seem to resist what's already taken.
Sarah said this with a cold gaze.
From what I heard, Jacob, you met her at your company, right? If you could check her resume, you'd see she hopped around from job to job, and it was always because of some guy.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the kid.
Jacob argued back.
Well, that's true, but she was pretty much always cheating, so it's risky to think she was only in love with you at that time.
Sarah said this as if it were just some celebrity gossip, laughing lightly while giving Jacob a warning. Meanwhile, Jacob kept staring at the fading image of Rachel heading to the restroom, his face pale. But just under 3 weeks later, a call from Jacob came through to the phone at my parents' house. Since I had blocked Jacob on my cell, it seemed like he could only reach me through my parents' phone.
I'm so sorry.
As soon as I answered the phone, Jacob apologized right away.
Since then, what Sarah said got stuck in my head. I looked into the kid, and it turns out he really isn't mine.
His voice grew quieter and quieter. But hearing that now didn't affect me in the least. I'd lost interest in Jacob already, a guy I left 2 years ago. I'm much more interested in cats than in any man.
I wonder from since when I started neglecting our relationship, but even when I wasn't at my best, you loved me.
No, if I'd found proof of the affair earlier, I wouldn't have loved you either. We were both fools, weren't we?
The child I thought was mine isn't really my kid, but my mom still thinks she's getting a grandchild. Isn't it sad? It's unbearable to hide the truth from her. You must feel bad too, knowing she will be heartbroken.
No, it's actually more funny than heartbreaking to me. This is the same person who told me to leave you so you could marry the mother of your child.
You get it now, right? How I feel.
Sorry, what? Are you hungry or something?
No, that's not it. Don't you understand why I called just to hear your voice like this?
I don't know, and I don't want to. I'm perfectly fine never understanding how you feel.
That's cold. Listen up. I still love you, and I want to have a kid with you.
Oh my God. I let out a sound that made it seem like I was really about to throw up. I felt a chill that made my hair stand on end, and imagining the smug look Jacob was probably wearing made me shudder even more. What? After abandoning me like that, he thinks he can win me over with this pathetic guy, and using "let's have a kid" as a pickup line? Unbelievable. After the divorce, sure, I was pretty shaken up and sad, but now that I'm calm, I'm mostly glad we split up. So where do you get off thinking you can be this relaxed?
If you reciprocate my feelings, I'll leave Rachel, and we can start a wonderful second life together.
Wait, so if I don't respond, you'll just go back to Rachel like nothing happened? Way to have a backup plan. Even though I thought that, I realized this was actually an opportunity, so I told Jacob, "Oh, so you're going to treat me well? Then you'll need to announce your divorce to Rachel."
You're going to give me a chance. Thank you. Got it? I'll arrange a meeting with Rachel right away. Come over to my place.
In high spirits, Jacob quickly set up a time for us to meet. And 2 days later, I met Jacob and we headed straight to the house he shared with Rachel. Rachel was stunned to see us together when we got there.
Why is Laura here?
I understand how she feels. I was just as dumbfounded the day he announced our divorce. I nodded along, relating to her confusion.
Rachel, I looked into your past relationships and found out that Tom isn't my son, so I can't live with you anymore.
What?
Tom was the son of Rachel and Jacob. Rachel was visibly shaken by Jacob's sudden words.
Wait, how can you say that all of a sudden, Tom is your child?
You were going out with other guys at the time, right? Senior colleagues and all that.
That was only because they asked. They were my superiors, so I went along, but nothing happened.
There's no need to make excuses now. You'll pay for deceiving me by going through a divorce and paying alimony.
Don't decide that on your own.
It's already decided. I'm going to end things with you and start over with Laura. I want to give my mom the perfect grandchild.
What's that supposed to mean? Is Jessica more important than me?
Of course she is.
I nearly burst out laughing. It seemed like Rachel still didn't know Jacob's true nature. I've got plenty to say, but I need to hold back for now.
Laura, are you okay with this? Getting back together with a man who betrayed you makes you seem so desperate.
I care about my own happiness. I responded to Rachel's angry words with a calm smile. It was probably the same smile she wore when she stole Jacob from me that day.
I can't believe it. Are you serious?
No matter what you say, Rachel, it's already decided that we're getting back together. Stop whining.
Unbelievable. Fine, I'll divorce you and take all the alimony I can.
Alimony? Yeah, right. You're the one at fault.
Jacob laughed at her. He was feeling pretty confident, probably because he knew he could remarry me.
But that's...
I couldn't hold my laugh.
Laura.
Both Jacob and Rachel were taken aback when I suddenly burst into laughter. I mean, how can you not laugh at a scene this hilarious? It's too funny. Rachel, you clearly don't know everything yet. Once you do, you'll see that divorcing him is the luckiest thing that could happen to you.
What do you mean?
Rachel turned to me, looking confused. Does he sometimes call Jessica honey?
He does, but he always says it was a mistake. What's your point?
Have you ever seen the inside of his phone case?
What? What are you talking about?
Rachel remained puzzled, while Jacob's face grew pale. Hand over your phone. I turned to Jacob and gave him a smile.
No way.
Why not? Are you embarrassed? Or did you think I wouldn't notice?
Shut up. I'm not embarrassed. It's a photo of my honey. What's so wrong with that?
What?
Rachel stared at Jacob with a cold look after hearing his shocking words.
What do you mean? A photo of honey inside the phone case? Wait, isn't that Jessica's picture?
Exactly. I answered Rachel's question with a cheerful smile.
You've got to be kidding me. That's unreal.
Rachel twisted in disgust, unable to hide her revulsion. It's not just the phone case. Look under the mattress in the bedroom. If it's like before, he's got Jessica's photo hidden there. He used to look at it in the middle of the night with his phone light after I went to sleep. It was creepy.
No way.
Rachel let out a cry and ran straight to the bedroom. After checking the photo, she returned to the front door.
There really is one.
Told you so. Jacob stood there, staring in disbelief as the two of us talked.
No, my honey, isn't family important? Don't you two have pictures of your family?
Displaying them is one thing, but carrying them around is another.
Yeah.
Rachel nodded in agreement with my point. Rachel was now completely on my side. You probably don't know, but Jacob sometimes says things like, "Honey, mommy, let me sit on your lap," in his sleep. That's when I realized that divorcing him was a blessing. At first, I thought he was just a strange guy, but after I left, I understood that he was a textbook mama's boy.
Well,
Rachel was visibly disgusted, and Jacob's face grew redder and redder.
Shut up, shut up, shut up. Honey is perfect, unlike you two. She's like a goddess to me.
So, you don't even realize you're a mama's boy?
What's wrong with you? I won't let anyone who wants to marry me insult my mom.
Marry you? No way.
What?
Jacob and Rachel both exclaimed in surprise. It seemed they both fully expected me to get back together with Jacob. I acted that way on purpose, so I'm glad they bought into it. I never said I'd get back together with you. Didn't you notice? I just came here to expose your mama's boy side. And if Jacob was going to end things with Rachel, I wanted him to do it dramatically. During the divorce, I was so stunned that I couldn't even manage a single complaint. Taking advantage of the opportunity to get a little payback shouldn't be a problem.
You're the worst. I trusted you.
The worst? Who, me? What part? You're the one who had a kid with someone else and said, "My honey, Jessica wants a grandkid, so I'm getting a divorce," and left me. So who's really the worst? Stop underestimating women. You thought I'd come running back if you hinted at marriage, didn't you? You've already been abandoned by us.
What did you say?
Sorry, mama's boy.
Enough of this. Fine. I won't get back together with you. I'd rather stay married to Rachel than be with you.
Since I have no intention of getting back together with him, there's no way that's happening. What is he talking about? Just as I thought this and was about to say it aloud.
no, that's enough. Let's just divorce.
Rachel spoke up in exasperation.
What?
Jacob looked deflated. Regardless of whether they were going to reconcile, he hadn't expected Rachel, who had tried to avoid divorce until recently, to agree to it so quickly.
Yeah, all the things I've heard have made this exhausting, and I didn't realize how much of a mama's boy you are. It's just repulsive. And what do you mean, better off with me?
Wait a second, Rachel.
Jacob desperately tried to grab Rachel's arm and plead with her, but she pulled away from him. So that's settled. Neither of us is getting back together with Jacob. I smiled as Rachel nodded, while Jacob stood there pouting. Oh, right. There's one more thing. Jacob and Rachel both looked confused at my words. Your kid with Rachel is probably really yours. You'd need a DNA test to know for sure, though.
What do you mean?
Jacob immediately latched onto the idea. Sarah got curious, so she looked into the situation around the time you and Rachel met. Our company is a large staffing agency, so we still have people working at your company. That's how we've got connections across departments. And after some investigation, we learned a lot.
Learned what?
Just like Rachel said, there was a persistent supervisor who kept asking her out for dinner, but she was actually troubled by him. So there really was nothing between them. She's recently been focused on finding a husband and hasn't been dating anyone casually. So any wild behavior is all in the past. Sarah also apologized for the misunderstanding, saying she might have made Rachel worry for no reason. Rachel looked a bit embarrassed at my words and stayed silent. All I revealed must have been true. It's ironic that Jacob, who didn't believe a word she said, had to rely on me, his ex-wife, to believe her.
So the child is really mine.
Yes, as I keep telling you. But just so you know, I don't care if you apologize now. I've already decided to divorce you and take child support.
Wait, Rachel, I was wrong. Please, let's start over.
Jacob desperately pleaded with Rachel, but she ignored him completely. This happened because he tried to have it all, wanting to secure both this and that for himself. Serves him right. Rachel eventually divorced Jacob and got her full child support. Jacob had bought a house for us when we got married, but after the divorce, he had to sell it for a pittance. He remarried Rachel and tried to afford a fresh start while paying me alimony, but he quickly ran out of money. Then he tried to throw Rachel out and remarry me. Naturally, Rachel also demanded alimony. To avoid going to court, Jacob paid Rachel the amount she asked for in alimony, handed over the house they'd lived in together, and moved back in with his parents. But that wasn't the end of it. Rachel exposed everything about Jacob at work, leaving him so ostracized that he was forced to resign. Unfortunately for him, he left in a time when finding new jobs was tough, so he struggled to find another. Since then, he's been juggling multiple part-time jobs, barely managing to pay alimony and child support.
I did something awful by taking Jacob from you, Laura. It wasn't until I almost went through the same thing that I realized how terrible it was. I want to change and be a better mom who can look her child in the eye.
Rachel said this as she apologized to me. I didn't forgive her for everything, but when I think about it, I'm grateful to Rachel because I'm glad I got to divorce that guy quickly. To be honest, I don't care about Jacob or Rachel, so her apology and their dramatic divorce made it all even for me. As for myself, after the whole ordeal, I got close to my supervisor at the new place I was assigned. But after being burned once by marriage, I'm not so eager to tie the knot again. We go out for dinner or on outings together, but he's not even my boyfriend yet. I enjoy spending time with him, but I've come to realize that being alone isn't so bad either. The last thing I want is a life where someone's always pushing me around. Plus, it's a blast having the freedom to grab dinner with coworkers I've made friends with at different assignments, go to drinking parties, or attend concerts with people who share my love for music. It might not be glamorous, but I think I'm far more radiant than when I was worried that my husband might be cheating or I need to have kids. So for now, I think I'm fine having the kitten I welcomed home as my partner. Being single right now is the happiest I've ever been.